Blog Talk Radio.
Please take all the necessary precautions to protect your Constitution while listening to this broadcast. 3, 2, 1. Coming to you live via the internet. It's time for Rage Against the Regime. Let's get ready to rumble! Finally, a show for patriots, defending the Constitution and uncovering the truth at every turn, bringing you exclusive interviews and covering the topics the mainstream media doesn't dare to touch. Call in and join the discussion at 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. And now, here are your hosts, Bobby Who's the Man and Becky Williams. Rage Against the Regime.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
Welcome to Rage Against the Regime. This is Becky Williams. I'll be your host tonight. Bobby Ritter will not be joining us. This is his family hour. So, Bobby, we're going to miss you, but we look forward to Bobby's show tomorrow evening at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do believe I have Keith. Are you there, brother?
I've been here.
Hey. Good to hear from you, brother. Glad to see you're still alive and kicking and well.
Barely, but I'm here.
Good. That's a good thing. I'm opening the mics up tonight to our people. I don't really have anybody on the line right now. I kind of hit them. I was trying to hit everybody after dinner hours tonight so that we could share some vital information that we need to get out to folks. Hey, Keith, did you hear about our Marines having to surrender their weapons to Yemen rebels?
Yes, I have.
What do you know about that?
Well, it's basically, from everything I'm hearing, is basically the same thing that happened when with what's his name, Ambassador Andrews. The same thing happened, basicly. No, it's basically the same scenario because they had weapons, but they had no ammo with him. And at this case, at the point in time, this time around, they had everything. But the thing is, they still had a stand down order. And I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling I know where it's coming from. But right now, I don't have any confirmed information of where it came from. But I can tell you, it came from the outhouse.
It did come from the outhouse. You know, there was a lot of speculation, Keith, on Benghazi as to who gave the stand-down order. You know, some say Hillary, some say it was Valerie Jarrett. Of course, they wag tails on committees doing the investigation. It's been shut down. We're never going to really know the truth because at the end of the day, the oversight committees are simply the insiders doing the oversight over the insiders. So anytime you hear government suing government or they're being drawn up before the committee, much like the IRS scandal and many of the other things that we've seen, especially during this administration, have been very alarming to me personally because there is no justice at the end of the day, and under congressional, questioning, under the committee questioning, they're still refusing to give true answers, and they don't go to jail like we would for perjury, and they don't go to jail like we would for not complying with an order to give the truth and evidence.
Oh, I agree. But you got also, what's his name, who's the one that's overdoing the prosecutor, is also now subpoenaed Hillary for that deal.
You talking about Trey Gowdy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
She has to testify.
Yeah. Okay.
She's made very clear if she does not testify, she's going to jail until she does.
Well, I'll tell you, to be quite honest, I don't see them putting anybody in jail. You know, we have Jean Smith, and I'm hoping that she'll remember we're on the call tonight because she has some really, really important information to share today with our listeners. We have, I really don't. The fingers are too deep. We have researched information and the tentacles of government, along with the war beast and big pharmaceuticals. They're all tied together, and they all scratch each other's backs. They're all very much involved in a very elaborate web of racketeering by investment. Gene Smith found some interesting information yesterday that I revealed on Bait versus You, where the DHS/TSA on the Dun & Bradstreet site, she loves to go there to do her homework because it takes her to a bunch of different places, and she gathers some very shocking information on there about certain entities like Serco and Dun & Bradstreet. Also, you can pull information up on Goldman Sachs and, just about anybody who's anybody in government entity, you can find it there. And she found so many, I'm talking almost 100 different addresses for DHS alone that were private family dwellings. They were a house, and they were a vacant house, yet it showed an address for the DHS. I mean, imagine that. What the hell is that all about, Keith? And then she found them for Halliburton as well. They're showing them as a operating business. So essentially what they're doing is they go get these houses, and the TSA is doing it as well. We're finding that there's all these government agencies that have all these holdings on vacant single-family dwelling homes that are supposedly an office or a headquarters for that organization, and they're getting funding for that. These homes are not occupied by anybody, but they're getting funding for that. I mean, they are really so deeply corrupt financially, it's ridiculous. But I find it very concerning to me that you're going to put guards at one of our embassies, especially in a place like Yemen, where we've had, over the years, a terrorist hit on, what was that, SS Jones, or what was that ship? Do you recall the name of the ship that the Yemen rebels bombed a couple of our sailors some years back?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, though.
Same instance in Benghazi, like you said. I mean, we've got the Yemen embassy over there. Really, we've got people there without munitions and their damn weapons to protect American interests. Go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry, you're moving in and out. It's hard to hear you sometimes, Becky.
Let me change my headphone out. I said I find it very discouraging, very alarming, and I want to know why we have an American embassy on foreign soil, once again, where we are with inadequate security. The embassy has been delivered and taken over by rebels, and our Marines being given instruction to surrender their weapons on the premises. I have serious issue with that.
Well, I agree, but the first thing is that when our embassy sits on foreign soil, the soil that our embassy is on, that is actually United States soil, even though it's in a foreign country, because it's called a refuge for U.S. citizens to go to. So in other words, if you're in Guinea and you're a U.S. citizen, if you can get to the embassy, you're classified on U.S. soil. Technically, by law, they can't touch you.
Right. Well, under the conventions, under the Geneva Convention, and
that's what I'm saying.
And the degrees of the war, the rules of law when it comes to war, which is absolutely insane anyway to even make a statement like that or have a document like that. Because honestly, during war, who's keeping a check and balance on that?
Right.
You know what I mean? When we're at war, and I don't think, Obama changed the rules of engagement for our soldiers over in the Middle East. I mean, they create these wars with purpose, people. These wars have been created for centuries by the greedy little bastards that get fat off of it. They have zero regard for life itself. Islam has for centuries been the foot soldiers, the minions that have been used to further those endeavors of war and create the war based on their militant theology, their doctrine. They are to take over regions, and the booty or the bounty is theirs. Anywhere they put their feet, they commit jihad, and then the caliphate follows. And what we're seeing is across the globe, these minions are being paid in full up front for their dirty deeds, and that's what they're doing in America as well, brother.
No, I agree. But you got to understand two things. First thing is Obama's funding all this through Iran to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
The second thing, he's going to Congress and asking for a bill for war. And are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
He's asking for a blank check.
Jesus Christ. And I'm praying, not cussing. Lord, please. Wow. Meanwhile, let's just go ahead and cut all of our security on concerning America. Let's open the borders up. Let's don't pay Border Patrol. And the ones that are there, let's tell them they can't do a damn thing. Because if they do, they're going to go to jail and be incarcerated. How insane, Keith, is it? Speaking of that, opening our borders up, people coming in out of Canada, terrorists, and people from all over the globe coming through Canada now. We got them all over the Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California border coming across. Come on in. Everybody welcome. 25 people a day are being killed by foreign invaders into this damn country. 25 people. Listen, that is accessory to murder. By the government.
The thing is, well, I agree. But one thing that we have power yet that most people do not know and understand, and I'm not making fun of you as a person, but you got to understand that there is one state that can control this whole thing if they got woke up to reality. And it's not Texas. It's to Oklahoma.
Well, tell them what they need to do.
Oklahoma is one of two states that will take legal tender as gold and silver. First thing. Okay? Second thing is
What's
Oklahoma, all but North Dakota.
What is the other state? All right, North Dakota. You hear that, folks? North Dakota and Oklahoma. Go ahead, brother.
Right. All right, the second part is all of Oklahoma, but the actual handle of it, which is western Oklahoma, is all Native American reservation.
Well, that's just a FEMA camp. That's a FEMA camp.
No. Let me finish what I'm saying. Okay? If the Native Americans took back Oklahoma, declared Oklahoma as their land back, where the Islam can only declare state by state Sharia law, Native Americans can take and hold a tribunal, which is federal, and basically tell them that you can get out of my state. Unless you're a Native American or a citizen of this country, and you can only trade with gold and silver, I don't want to see you here.
I can tell you this. Judge Reed Chambers and myself belong to Indian Nation, and he is part of that tribunal. So, that's not something that we haven't talked about in length, many times. In fact, let me see if I can get the judge on the line. I'd like for him to join in. And by the way, I think I've opened the line up. Brother Bill, are you on the line? Is that you at 714 area? Bill? Hello, 714. Your line is open.
It's California, so.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's Bill or not. They're not wanting to speak. They didn't have their hand up, but I thought it was Bill, so I went ahead and opened it up. I'm going to see if I can get Judge Chambers to call in, because you bring up some very valid points there, brother. And, we are definitely facing a revolution. I spoke yesterday briefly on Bank versus You about the situation on the Texas border. Those borders are wide open. They released information. Now it's been released by Fox News that I released 2 weeks ago on one of my radio shows, where I told folks that, in fact, those borders are open, and, in fact, Internal Affairs is involved, and, in fact, our Border Patrol not only has been told to stand down, but they are completely defenseless. In other words, if they even raise their hand to defend a physical attack on their person, they will be drawn out and can face charges, as well as being terminated from their employment, losing all their benefits. We're in a bad situation. You got a blank check, that usurpant. I'm not going to call him a usurper anymore. I'm going to call him the usurpant. He's asking for a blank check for war. He's spending $1.7 billion on average for his damn vacations and that loose shell bitch every year on vacation, and here we are. Here we sit. Taxation's out the roof. They're giving false information out to the public through the media about unemployment and how jobs have been created. Well, hell yeah, they've been created for the foreign invader. Look behind the counters, people. I'm not making this up. But the media is not going to tell you that. American citizens are losing placement in employment for the foreign invaders. We are crumbling. And if you look at Karl Marx handbook on how to crumble a country and take over with socialism, communism, they have just about completed that list of terror on America. And we have sat back and allowed it. And the scary thing is this, Keith. At the end of the day, all those bastards are in the shadow government up there, and they're also in our state government. They're in our state government. I'm talking about your representatives in your local areas, your mayors, your city council members. We are in serious trouble. And now you have a Council of Islamic Affairs that have taken over as well in the court system, and now they're infiltrating and creating their own political group to be able to run for presidency. Can you imagine? I mean, hell, we already have one of them up there now. They put him in there. Pardon me, I'm trying to get over the flu. But at the end of the day, that's even insanity in itself, brother, because I still have people saying, well, the popular majority voted him into office. He must be doing something right. No, they didn't. Stop with your stupidity, people. Do your homework. The Electoral College is who places the POTUS. It is not the people. That is nothing but theatrics. Do your research. Am I right or wrong, Keith? Keith, are you there? Did I lose you? Hello. The Electoral College picks the president. It's not the people, but the people still really believe that if they show up at the poll, that is going to dictate how their representative for the Electoral College votes. That is not the case. There is no congressional or federal law or oversight committee that dictates the Electoral College to place their vote based on the voters in their area. And they changed. Go ahead, brother.
There used to be one that the people had, but that was taken taken away when it went from government to the corporation. But otherwise, it's all pre-elected before the votes even thought about. When we go through the conventions, Democrat, Republican, it's already decided by that time who's already going to win.
Well, they know ahead of time. Like, they already know who's going to be president next time around if we don't revolt and push them into martial law. And see, there's a couple of things going on here. by law, according to the law, which we are trying to operate under as citizens in this country to stop this madness, well, that in itself is insanity. You cannot deal with lawlessness in a government body with said lawlessness or lawfulness by the community, and they know that. They use that on us. It's a real cool trick that they've learned over the centuries. Because, quite frankly, they have total disregard for the law, so it doesn't matter what direction we go. Lawfully, we have no recourse. There will be no justice. Nothing will be addressed. No one will be removed. No one will be incarcerated. We're at a point that the coup d'etat is already established, in my opinion. I believe the caliphate's already here, in my opinion. And they are making a broad statement by taking Texas as the first state to allow Sharia courts. We're in serious shit here. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. I really don't. But if we rise up, back to my point, if we rise up, we'll exercise our Second Amendment rights, which is what they were put there for, exactly the situation we're in, here's what we're facing. Pardon me. Invasion from Mexico, invasion from the South Americas, invasion from Cuba. China owns a port in Long Beach, California. The missile defense system was taken down on the West Coast by the pig and thief himself. He gave the islands off Alaska to Putin. We've got the wide open border now at Canada. We've got Russian nuclear subs that have been in the Gulf of Mexico, off 3 miles off the coast of Alabama for many years now. Several reportings. Now we're seeing them in the over in the area of California and up the coast, and they're buzzing our ships with China's buzzing our ships with our military vessels with armed weapons on their belly, which is a declaration of war. That's saying I'm going to blow your shit away, basically. And then now you have Russia doing the same thing over in the Ukraine. Now Putin saying he's going to blow us off the face of the earth if Obama doesn't get his damn nose out of the Ukraine. Most people don't even pay attention enough to the Ukraine issue to understand that the media is displaying this as the Ukrainians want to break away from Russia and be enrolled under communism, become a republic. But the fact of the matter is this, the goons in the USA and in the UN Council want to take Ukraine away from Russia, so they're funding all this shit, getting in the middle of a battle they have no business in the middle of. Those Ukrainians want to break away from Russia. That is between them and Russia, in my opinion. We've got to quit being the bully that is always in everybody else's business, funding everybody else's war, and making the globe hate us. For centuries, we have gone over into Europe and the Middle East and stuck our nose in it and sent our soldiers to die and kill innocent civilians. Dang, Keith, it just makes me sick.
Oh, I agree. And very honestly, the Ukraine deal is nothing more than a newer version of the Vietnam War.
You're correct. We're putting our noses where they don't belong, but you know what? The reason it's being done is because the fat, greedy bastards want that region and its resources and its people, and they're trying. It's a giant chess game, people, or a Monopoly game. That's all this has ever been.
Yeah, but I want you to make sure you understand and have people understand that Putin is not after the people here in this country. He's after one group of people, and that's it.
Well, yeah,
and
but he made a very broad statement, and he did say that he would blow us off. He would scatter us from here to there. Well,
I understand, but
I don't want to die for the bastards up in government. They're not even government. That is not government.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Go ahead.
He's made it very clear, though, that the only thing he's after right now is the regime. He's made it very clear that he wants the people here in the United States. He won't do what he can to help out, but his problem is the regime, and that's what his principal thing, what he's after right now.
Well, I want to read to you something that was very interesting that Dr. Garrow put up today. And it was written, it came out of the WMD commentary. And Eric Rush, I do believe, is the person who wrote this, and he's a well-respected journalist, and he is a black man. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that because, everybody thinks we whiteys are just picking on the Saudi Arabian, the Middle Eastern mole that everybody thinks is black because that's what's been beaten into their head. But I'm going to tell you folks right now, he's about as black as I am, and I got blonde hair and blue eyes. So Eric Rush writes an article, Obama dedicated to Islamist ascendancy. And he said, no sooner had reports on the horrific attack on the office of Paris satirical magazine, Charlie Hebdo, by Islamist commandos last week, then politicians and the media talking heads began qualifying their accounts with the liberal use of phraseology intended to obscure the fact that these mass murderers were Muslims. In some cases, these parties do not wish to be labeled Islamophobic. In other cases, they are deluding themselves in there being some operative distinction that exists between Islam and radical Islam, that exists between Islam and radical Islam. First of all, folks, there is no difference. It is a doctrine that they have disguised as a religion for political purposes, for rights by religion purposes, and then they included, inclusive in that doctrine, is called Sharia law, and it all works together. It's a well-oiled mechanism of a sociopathic, narcissistic, insane pedophile called Muhammad and many other individuals who wrote the Quran. And I would invite anybody that thinks you have a Muslim friend right now, read the Hadith and read the Quran and understand that there are no moderate Muslims. You'll then learn about the four channels of deception that they use directed by the Quran in order to make you believe that they are moderate Muslims and they mean you no harm. They just want to live life to the fullest and to be free, which is nothing more than a lie. They want to live their life to the fullest at your expense, and they want to kill you because you are an infidel. You convert or die, and we've seen many times in videos that the pigs put up themselves on YouTube where it doesn't make a damn whether you convert or not. You convert, and they take your head off anyway or set you on fire, put a bullet in your brain, stone you to death, whatever it is they feel like doing that day. They just, they've got a menu of barbaric means to kill you, and they will exercise whatever they feel is their pleasure that day. And they're so sick that these so-called moderates in that area will gather around by the thousands to witness this atrocity of murder. And then scream Allah Akbar while they're doing it. Praise Allah. Glory be to Allah. Allah is a satanic piece of shit. Anyway, Islam has a 14,000-year history of not playing well with others, of executing the same methodology and subjugating nations across the globe as they are currently executing in the West. That's us, by the way, y'all. I believe that there are many people of good conscience who deny the truth about Islam because if they acknowledge it, they would have to accept the remedies of the threat that would be distasteful to them. In other words, we have to eradicate them, people. That's what he's saying. And I agree completely, Keith. Kill them until they're done. Kill them until they're done. You've got if I have a tumor and it's gonna take out my whole body, it's gonna start in one area of my body and it's gonna turn into bone cancer and make my bones brittle and break my body down and get in my brain and get in my liver. I've got to eradicate the tumor. Islam is a tumor. It's a cancerous growth, and it is a barbaric methodology, and he explained it just like I do. Folks, I've been called racist. I want to correct anybody out there that's going, God, she's racist. Listen, Islam is not a race. Islam has members of Islam, Muslims, that are of every ethnic background. So stop calling it, it would be prejudice, but it would not be a race. And hell yes, I'm prejudiced against anybody that rapes babies, marries little girls, and murders people barbarically. I mean, hell, they'll rape their own and then kill the girl for being raped because she dishonored the family because some bastard or a group of bastards decided to rape her. Then they friggin' murder her after they've already done that injustice to her, and they'll do it in a very horrific manner. They'll beat the hell out of her, stone her to death, but at the end of whatever it is that they do to her to further her torture and humiliation, they will do it, and then they will kill her. And the families, this is how sick these bastards are, the families call it an honor killing, and they're happy to do it. Their own family members, their own fathers and brothers and mother will join in taking this girl's life who has already been so horrifically violated by a bunch of bastards raping her. And when they rape her, they don't stop. They keep on. They make her bleed from every orifice. They beat her. They choke her. And then when they're done doing that, then everybody else joins in. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being that individual? I certainly cannot. I'm a survivor of child molestation and of being raped at the age of 13 by my own uncle. And I know what that does to a human being. And although not a violent per se act, it is an act of violence, and it takes away something from a human being that nobody can even put words to, and it affects you all your life. But I cannot imagine that happening to me and then having been treated like that and looking up at my own mother and father who are stunning me to death or beating me in the streets, and I know that I'm going to die and they're going to take part in that. That's horrific. So that's how sick these bastards are. Here we go. I'm going to finish reading this. The truth, considering the character of Islam at its core, all Muslims are part of this diabolic design of supplanting Western civilization with an Islamic one. Indeed, whether they believe it or not, few may become full-blown jihadists, but rest assured that most of these advocates, what the full-blown jihadists are doing, they advocate it. And polling data of Muslims clearly reflects this. History has proven unequivocally that everywhere and anywhere you have emerging Muslim populations in a non-Muslim nation, once they reach an elusive percentage point, in the terms of the population, some experts say between 3 to 5%, and they've reached that here. They've surpassed that. Many will become radicalized and set the course for violent subjugation of the host culture. So why would any non-Muslim nation of sound mind allow importation of these Muslims in their society? The answer, they wouldn't. It is obvious that Europe is suffering for the folly of the last few decades in allowing Muslims to immigrate to their nations. No-go areas in France, pedophilic sex slave rings in Britain, a rape epidemic in Sweden, and anti-Semitic demonstrations. All of these are the byproducts of the Islamic ascendancy. Here, it bears mentioning that the people engaging in the foregoing antisocial behavior are not radical jihad commandos. They are simply Muslims. Pardon me. Now, this guy is speaking the truth. Pardon me. I am so sorry, guys. I'm getting over the flu. I'm going to take a drink here and wet my gully. This guy speaks truth, Keith. This guy is telling it like it is. Nobody in mainstream media will. Pardon me. So it's left up to us, bloggers and, broadcast radio. Keith, will you take the mic for a minute and speak while I get some for this?
Well, I think that the object here is that we got to realize is there's countries that really didn't know how bad Islam was, and now are facing how bad it is, and that they've walked in and what they've done, and now they're starting to kick them out as quickly and as fast as they can. I mean, and unfortunately, because of the way the situation is here, a lot of those are coming to this country because they have just full reign to come here. For example, Norway is kicking them out right and left. Their crime rate is dropped by 37 or 38% as soon as they started kicking them out. Japan never let Islam in to begin with, so they don't have to worry about it. Okay? France has been basically taken over pretty well by Islam, and they're starting to kick them out. A good example also, Turkey was almost an all-Christian nation. 98% of Turkey now is all Islam. I mean, the numbers just keep growing, but unfortunately because we have a wide open border and because we have no control of who and what is coming in, they're all just welcome to come right in and walk in and take over. There was an article, did some research the other day, of a taxi cab driver from Washington, D.C. was on a 10 number one list terrorist in the world. And a taxi cab driver in Washington, D.C. driving like no one cares.
Yeah.
Because he's able to come in and with an open border.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Bobby
it's ridiculous.
Bobby announced this. Well, and thank you for taking over, man. I had to grab the inhaler. I tell you, I just
anytime.
But Bobby did a Spreaker show today. I posted it up. I wish people would not just like things, but they would actually listen to them. But that's a whole other show. What Bobby stated, he's a truck driver, and he saw a memo today that someone shared with him from the administration desk at one of the places he delivers to. He's engaged in conversation. And he said that more and more illegals and Muslims are showing up to apply for jobs at these trucking companies that have their CDL, and they can't even back a damn trailer up. They're just handing them a CDL license. And the memo is a new law that was passed that stated that these individuals that are homegrown, that's not the real Muslim, the Muslim name they're given is not the real name, is that they have to, they actually have to give the real surname on the paperwork so they can't be tracked as a Muslim. But he said, Becky, it's alarming how many of them are walking into jobs in the trucking industry. We know that trucks could make really big bones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like here, right? And then you mentioned they asked me how I was doing. I had to go to the ER on Monday, and for me to go to the county hospital, it's 24 hours for you time you get there, time you get seen, because all illegal immigrants. 24 hours, unless you're trauma. I mean, what kind of hospital service is that?
That's pretty tragic right there, brother.
Yeah.
And so what came out of that?
Well, I said going to the county hospital. I went to one of the other hospitals. There's 3 major hospitals here, so I went one to the other one I've been associated with over the many years. I've been here in where I'm at, and I got in and they took care of me, and I was able to go home, release me after about 5 hours. But I'm still not doing the best. I'm going to be out of commission for at least another week. So.
Wow, brother, I really hate to hear that. That's awful. My prayers go out to you, and I pray for your quick recovery. What else was pressing for you today that you called in? I mean, I know I rant about Islam all the time, and I'm very disturbed about the thing in Yemen. I'm pissed off about the Marines having to drop their weapons, turn them over to rebels. I'm sick and tired of the usurpant funding, the terrorists, and nobody's doing anything about it. We have the right to arrest him.
Right, but you got to understand, and this is something a lot of people see. If you just read the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, it says we have the right to bear arms. Well, but the thing is, that's not saying there we have the right to bear firearms. Okay, and this is where I get my discussion with everybody. But they don't understand there's a law that was passed in 1902 It cannot be added. It cannot be ratified. It cannot be amended. It's permanently. It's called a Dick Act, and it says that we as citizens have a right to bear firearms, period. There is no second thing to it. All the stuff they're passing about gun rights, it goes all against the Constitution, every inch of it. And these people sit there and tell you that guns kill people. I challenge people every day, wear and show me a gun that kills a person. Show me a gun that kills a person.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're telling me. The gun kills a person. So show me the gun that kills a person.
I know, right? Mine are loaded in the house, and oddly enough, mine haven't killed anybody.
How long have they been loaded?
Well,
how long have they been loaded, Vic?
Honestly, for the better part of the year, I've had them loaded in the rooms. I mean, I even moved the case, and it still doesn't kill anybody. It's friggin' amazing. I'm blown away by it.
Okay, but you had them loaded for a year. So who have they shot?
Nobody. Not a person.
Well,
not a single
then apparently there's something wrong with what everyone's saying then, isn't there?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I mean, people don't, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if somebody's been pushed to the edge or somebody's totally insane or somebody's just a thugger. A person was at the end of that trigger, which caused the death of another individual.
Well,
period.
The point I'm trying to get to, and I'm going to take another extreme with this a little bit, but I want you to understand, okay? Gravity kills more people every year than guns kill people. So now what we're going to do, outlaw. So we're going to do outlaw gravity now too? You're outlawing guns, so what's the difference? Let's outlaw the gun or gravity. Can't we do that
I
too?
know, brother. I know. You're spot on. You're definitely correct with the direction that you took that. And, but people, I'm going to share something at the end of the show that we're doing that is going to be of benefit to everybody within earshot of the show. And if they don't share it with their folks and their friends, I don't know what to tell them. Hey, let me give out the number real quick. I've got people. My board is full, but nobody's raising their hand. I've got a Skyper that I opened the mic up for quite some time ago, and they haven't made any noise. Is that you, Gene, by chance? Gene?
Yes, I'm here, Becky. I just came on a few minutes ago.
Okay, listen, I want you to do something for me. Would you share with the folks some of the information that you and I discussed earlier today that we wanted to bring to the show? Keith, wait till you hear this. Gina's been doing some research that's just outlandish, but you were talking about the hospital and the situation you walked into. Wait till she fills you in on some of the stuff about the doctors and how they're being paid to come on board with Obamacare. Go ahead.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, it's
Gene,
not so much it's the doctors, but it's a program. It's called the National Health Scholarship Program, and I just brought up a couple of bookmarks, so I'll just kind of read from it because it makes it more clear than me trying to explain it. They're giving service-obligated scholarships for full-time students of allopathic and osteopathic medicine, dentistry, primary care, nurse practitioners, nurse midwifery, and primary care physician's assistants, and also primary care doctors. There's a couple of different websites I've discovered here. They pay tuition, required fees to the school, a monthly stipend to students for living expenses, and a single annual payment to the student to assist with other reasonable educational expenses. once they're through with this schooling, they have to devote a minimum of 2 years of service and as many as 4 years of service, and they get a different amount of money. They get a cash payment, and it's like $30,000 if they commit 2 years, $40,000 if they commit 3 years, and $50,000 if they commit 4 years to an area. And what they do is they consider these different areas, low income or necessary. We need you in this area. So a lot of these doctors, physicians, assistants, are getting everything paid for. They pay off their student loans or completely pay for it. I mean, the programs that they have going here are really, now it does say you have to be a citizen or a national at the time you apply, but, when you're talking about all these refugees that they've been bringing in for the last 20 years, and putting them to work, it's quite possible. And they get immediate residency and citizenship when they bring them in as refugees. So a lot of those people are getting to work these programs. And I've been in the healthcare system now for the last few years and come up across many of these people, these doctors who, across the United States who have obviously been in this program. It's been going on for some time, not just the last couple of years, but several years. So, they're just getting us in every way they possibly can. I mean, our money is being used for so many different areas, and it's all under the American Recovery Act. And if people read that, I think you'd be shocked to find some of those things that we are financing.
Keith, can you believe that? Can you believe all
Oh,
that?
yeah, I can believe it very much so. That's why I tell, when I started learning, for instance, and we were talking about this briefly, but when I learned about my eyesight and learned how rare it was, I started learning everything I could about it. Then I had a little brother who had a major heart condition. When I started learning everything I could, okay? And I tell people all the time, and I deal with people all the time, they don't exert their right as far as to make sure what they're eating is good medical, let alone medical advice or even medical service or anything. I was in a state not too far along from here, and I had an ER doctor, didn't even introduce himself, just walked in and grabbed a hold of me and started poking around in my eye. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, I don't even know who you are, but at this point in time, I'm going to tell you to let go of me, because if you don't, you're going to be wish you had him." Well, I found out he was an ER doctor, and I asked him, I said, "Do you know?" "No, I don't." I said, "The extra's fine, right? They have an ophthalmologist, optometrist here." "We can't." I said, "Try me." And he finally got pissed off and left and came back, but I didn't find it. But I said, "That's fine." And I don't know how many people I've told about this, and they won't even go to the hospital anymore.
You know what I discovered? My niece she's working in Dallas, and she's a CNA, a certified nursing assistant,
Right.
which means very little, really, and you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like a medical assistant.
Right.
And they have very limited responsibilities, but she got to go in to the ER recently, or the OR, the operating room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Because, it doesn't surprise me, but it's happening. They're having nursing assistants do the work of qualified nurses who have been trained for several years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why osteopathic doctors doing, the work of surgeons. Osteopaths can claim to be anything. Not surgeons. They can't claim to be surgeons, but they can be, they can claim to be endocrinologists, internal medicine doctors, ear, nose, and throat doctors. And their training is not what a regular medical doctor's training is. No. No, not at all. That's why what Becky's doing here, otherwise that's why I made when she first said it. I don't know, we're going to have to get together. But I want to be a part of the medical part of it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to get down there. I don't know how, but I'm going to, somehow, Becky, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really scary. I mean, the kind of care that we're getting and receiving, you know, with people who aren't qualified to perform the care that is that we think that we're supposed to be getting. That, you know, you go into a doctor, you have to say, so are you a physician's assistant? Are you a medical assistant? What are you? Do you have a doctor's license? Where did you go to school? I mean, better be for asking all the questions to make sure that doctor is a real doctor who went to medical school, you know?
I agree. And it's something that people need to learn. It's something that needs to be done. Go ahead, Becky.
We're seeing across the board more exceptions, and that's just one of them, what you're speaking of, Gene, as far as being qualified by the Board of Medicine in the U.S. to practice medicine here. We are seeing that they have been given a go, as well as we've got the state of California for the past 2 years that have been allowing, without knowing jurisprudence and legal terminology and the laws in our land, have been given foreign nationals a right to practice law in America without being licensed or going to school to be educated in it. And they've been doing this in California for a couple of years. And then I explained to you about the CDL situation. It's very difficult. Pardon me. After 9/11, they changed the regulations and rules of obtaining a CDL license to drive a semi or a vehicle that required a CDL, a bus or whatever. And they made it very difficult to obtain it. There's a lot of red tape that you have to go through, and you had to go to courses to take the classes, and then you had to have X amount of driving time behind the wheel, and then with a trailer attached and so on. And we're seeing them just hand these damn things out like some kind of photo ID to foreign individuals who are going to be out on the road with you and your family, and the bachelor's don't know how to drive. Semi-trailer.
Yeah.
They could take that. I think the capacity on the fuel tank is 300 gallons. And if they have a dual tank, you're probably looking at somewhere around, 200 to 300 gallons per tank. Let me tell you what kind of damage that'll do if they decided to turn that into another missile, for terrorism. Drive that diesel, that semi, unsuspecting, right into a crowd of people, boom, into a area of law enforcement, municipality, a big event, under the premise that they're delivering goods and services. That's pretty scary, folks. I don't know about you, but I'm not happy with what's going on in this country, and the level of detriment that we've been put into is from medically to lawfully to, CDLs, to the fact that they're even here is very alarming.
Well, can I make one other comment with you about this, Becky?
Sure.
They did a deal out in California not long ago, and were going to give all the foreign invaders their driver's license. And they had it all written in Spanish so they could do the whole thing to the written test, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
2/3 of them couldn't even pass the test. Now explain something to me. I don't even drive. I've never read a manual, but I've had people who've actually taken and tested me and see if I could pass the driver's test on the written part. I'd have no problem passing it. Now you tell me how stupid it is.
So putting them on the road with my family, that coupled with the fact that we already have a high rate of fatalities on the roads in America, you couple that with with them just bringing these idiots in. Have you ever driven in Mexico? Is anybody on here? Jean, have you ever driven in Mexico?
Yes, dear, I have, but it's been many years. But yes, I have. Not from Texas. I went to the San Diego, California border.
Oh, listen, I've driven in El Paso at the border, and I've driven in down Del Rio into Acuna. Those people are friggin' retarded. They swing wide left to make a right-hand turn. They do it here in America, too. I've almost had many accidents in my own city where the dumbass is making a left-hand turn, swings wide right, and they're in my lane and almost sideswipe me, or vice versa the other way around, where I'm in the left-hand lane, and they're going to make a right-hand turn, and they almost hit me from that side because they don't even use their blinkers. Well, they drive like that in Mexico, and they set you up on purpose, especially if you're not from their country, where they'll, with purpose, cause an accident with you so that they can get the federales to extract money from you for damage. Or you go to jail. They'll take your car. The tourists always pay the national. But they come over here and they destroy everything, and we're supposed to pay for them. Now we have this, used to, when we get insurance for cars, you had to get a driver's license. I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but you do not have to have a driver's license at all these little wetback spots that have popped up that only Spanish is on the window. You go in to get insurance to drive, and it's a liability policy that doesn't cover shit the person that they hit, because this is a, what do they call them? Damn, if not research, you could tell me. They're like bottom of the totem pole insurance company. You don't have to have a license. You just go and get insurance. Well, I know when I go get my insurance on my car, I have to provide my damn license to the agent behind the desk. The exception has been made for them, and this has been going on for 8 years in America. People didn't know about it. Now it's more transparent. But now that we've had this invasion that the government calls legal because they set it up and they're turning these pigs out on us and coming into our country, here we sit. 25 people a day are being murdered by these bastards. Here we sit. More people lose their lives to foreign invaders in this country violently than we lost in a 12-year Iraqi war. Here we sit. Still on the internet, not doing shit, not getting up, not showing up, refusing to paint a target on their head because the government's going to follow them. They're already following you. You don't want to put your family in danger? Your family's in the greatest danger already of dying. 25 people a day, you're in that wheel of fortune that says you could be one of those individuals or somebody in your family. Just a matter of time, Just a matter of time. And people still won't get off their asses. People still want to sit on the computer and act like they're doing something. People still won't read the content and do research. They simply trust someone else, like myself. People trust me, and they know I do my research, to just repost it. People, it doesn't do any good if you don't know what the content or the body of the post is. It doesn't do any good if you haven't checked it for a second and third confirmation on the source of information. Am I correct?
That's true. I agree.
It's absolute insanity. We've got Jean. God bless her heart. She is the hardest working, and I have a team of researchers. But Jean is my most persistent, undaunted effort in research, and then double check on things that people have no interest in because they don't understand it, but you need to have interest in it because it's what's destroying America, and she can connect so many dots that we could go after these people, and she doesn't know what to do with the information. So she's reached out to myself and Lisa and others, KT, and some of the others, and we're going to help her with some direction on what to do with all this compiled information of racketeering, Ponzi scheming, corruption by these bastards that walk around with a fat paycheck that we pay their insurance for them, and they're scoring us to the wall. She's got evidence on so many people that they killed JFK for less. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, Becky, like I said earlier when we talked, it's the corruption and it's follow the money, and there's never been a truer statement. So that's what got me started in this was, you know, I thought there was an Obama post almost 2 years ago, I think it was. How long have I been doing this? About a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. But anyway, I saw this post that said this company, and at that point I knew little or nothing about Obamacare. But when I saw this post that said something about this company receiving $1.5 billion for the Obamacare contract, something just, I mean, it slapped me in the face. And that's where I started my research, and that's what's led me to all of this stuff, and it was like following that money. And you talk about a rabbit hole that's so deep, but I'll tell you what, it keeps bringing me right back to where I started, to the same people, the same corporations, the same companies. And then just throughout the research, I'd find this piece of information, and I think, man, that means something, but not a lot right now. And, you know, maybe a month later, I'd find another piece of information and go, okay, now I can connect those dots, you know, and it just was,
right.
And it was just something I couldn't stop. It's just like my brain, something would not let me stop. I just had to have the answers, and I had to find the connection because it all seemed so bizarre and so unbelievable. All this stuff that we've heard, who's behind it, who's stealing our land, who's stealing our property. And I can assure you right now the Lockheed and Lehman brothers are still behind all of this. And Lockheed, you know, when we talked yesterday with Jim about this, you know, since then I've done some more research. And I'll be damned if just about every address on Lockheed Martin DNB website, and there are only 10 pages because that's all they've listed there, and I'm sure there's more, are all single-family dwellings that are being bought and sold.
Wow.
Now, I'm guessing those are properties, and I mean, we're talking, there are probably thousands of properties. I mean, DHS, you're going to find them under DHS, you're going to find them under Serco, under Lockheed, under just about every company listed on Dun & Bradstreet. There are going to be single-family dwellings, and they've listed this as Lockheed Martin branch, as a branch to Lockheed Martin, right? And then it's just an empty single-family dwelling, or it's a single-family dwelling that was just sold, or maybe it's also retail and office buildings. So those people own all these properties that were taken over, you know, probably lost during the mortgage crisis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a you know, anywhere they can dig their claws into an individual. And, you know, a lot of people lost their homes illegally. They were illegally taken by the bank. You know, one of my sheroes, Glenna Avila, is the first champion for the women's MMA mixed martial arts cage fight. And she's a single mom. And she was raised up in poverty. Her mom was worthless piece of shit. And she ended up, you know, foster caring them out in the streets. And she worked all hard all her life. She was a young parent in high school. And she raised 2 children, busting her ass, going to the gym 3 hours a day after work, day after day after day after day, until she achieved her dream in the MMA, but she continued to work, and she lost her home by doing one of those refi programs. Wells Fargo has taken her home. It's currently in foreclosure as we speak. They may have already closed on it. But I feel so sorry for folks like her. Her dream was to own a home and not move around like she did as a kid, and she achieved that. And she got behind because she got a divorce. And so she goes to refi this mortgage. She's paying the mortgage as agreed upon, and then they take her friggin' house. They refuse her next payment, and then they foreclose on her. And there was nothing she could do to fight these bastards. They took her home. It broke her heart. She worked so hard for that home, and it meant so much for her. And she did everything right. And she got in that catch-22 little scam that the government put together, and as a result, she lost her home. And she moved away from the area. She's out of Oregon. But, yeah, you're seeing that they will stop at nothing, and that's part of Karl Marx's program, by the way, Gene, is to take your property.
Right. And I understand it's communism. You know, no matter what it is, it's communism. It might be the Karl Marx theory. He was a communist, obviously, or whatever the hell you want to call him, fascist, Marxist, and all these communism. But my concern is who's behind it now? Who was behind it, and how do we expose them? You know, because I have enough stuff and enough information to go. We've got to let people know. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what, sis? I think that what you and I came up with last night, we need to print this stuff out, and it needs to be mailed where? Where are we going to send it?
Well, I think we ought to start sending it to reps and congressmen, and you know, just these pages of all these listings, and then send it to the CEOs of these companies and let them know that we know.
You know, this is a huge task, okay? There's a lot of information.
Yeah, it is a huge task.
And it's going to take a whole lot of people, not just a couple. And so I would like to ask my callers out there that are listening in today, raise your hand and ask some questions. If you bother to call in, please. We want to hear your input. It doesn't have to be on the subject matter that we're on. If you have something that folks need to hear about and you know for a fact it's factual information concerning the situation we're in or current and breaking news, please call in. This is your opportunity to have your voice heard in a broader audience than you're ever going to reach on Facebook. But we need those folks that are listening in to dedicate themselves to, okay, I'll do 100 of them. I'll do 100 packets of this information. If you'll give me the PDF file, I'll mail out 100, or I'll hand deliver 100 to, you know, mayors, governors, corporations, congressmen. Walk into the damn office and put it on the desk. But it's going to take some legwork and some effort, but isn't it worth saving your country? Don't you love your family enough to do something more than just sit on a social media program or, you know, we're really not doing anything to sharing information among each other, and we're not taking action that way. We're not initiating the process of delivering by sitting and tapping on a keyboard or on your phone. And I'm not cussing you for doing what you're doing. I love you very much. You forgive already, but let's step it up a notch. Let's take it to the next level. Let's be effective. Let's take action.
Right.
Let's organize.
Right. Yeah. We need to do something with it. There's enough people out there that, you know, probably have information or may have information connected to this. And by the time we put it all together, we've got to do something with it. What good is it if we don't? Because I do believe that until we get to the bottom, expose the corruption and who's behind it, I'm not sure we're gonna move forward. And I think it gets people interested in what we're doing. And you know, when it comes to the money, it involves all of us. You know, it's not about Christianity. It's not about Muslims. It's not about Jews. It's not about Germans. It's not about anything. It's about money, our money, and the fact that we really are not, you know, $15 or $18 trillion in debt. It's because of it's being stolen, it's being laundered, it's being, you know, and the way that they've gone about this and who's behind this mortgage crisis. And there's, you know, and all those loans that they gave out to just anybody, right? Well, they're still doing that. It's called microfinancing. They've been doing it all over the globe for many years, and they're still at it. The World Bank, the Clinton Global Initiative is behind it. You know, I think exposing that and getting people interested in where their money is going and how they've set all of this up and why it's happening in the American Recovery Act of 2009. I think there was one before that. In 2009 it was amended. But, you know, everybody should be able to care enough about their money, you know, the corruption, the racketeering, the profiteering, and the politicians who are involved in all of this and shareholders in all of this, you know?
I've got someone on hold that's got their hand up. Let's see who this is, Gene. Area code 409. You're online. am I speaking to? Area code 409. Can you hear us?
That's me. That's me, babe.
Hey, honey, how are you doing?
Wonderful. How about yourself?
Well, I'm feeling much better. I still have a little bit of cough, but I'm doing all right. I'm just trying to save the world and doing my part as much as I can.
Yeah.
You know,
yep. I've been listening for a while. I think women drivers take out more than Mexican drivers.
Hey, you know what? You're probably correct, but I happen to think that the Orient is equally dangerous. I swear to God, that was the time that I did not see him coming. And honestly, in their defense, if you'll take your fingers and pull your eyes back, you lose all peripheral vision. So they may be corrupt.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I was behind a woman, female, Oriental woman. She took forever to cross a very busy street here in Arlington, Cooper Street. She was coming out of the driveway. She had to cross over 3 lanes of traffic to travel north to get in the northbound lane. And she waited, and we're coming out of Krispy Kreme Donut. And it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And she just sat there. She had many opportunities to go, but when she finally did decide to go, there was a shitload of traffic. Right? It was coming. Bright yellow dually cab truck with a 16-foot trailer loaded with landscaping equipment. And she pulled right out in front of him and bam, he hit her. Well, of course, I jumped out of my car. I'm a big first responder, and I've got a little background about how to handle a situation like that. So I went over there, and I told him, please don't move. What are you hurt? Are you okay? What's your name? Who do I call? Meanwhile, people are calling 911. And she kept saying, I do not know what happened. He came out of nowhere. I did not see him coming. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, how did you miss that?
Oh, shit. You probably could have seen the bulldog on the front of it.
Yeah, no shit. How did you miss that, lady? I mean, I'm a small beetle, and bright yellow to boot, broad daylight. I mean, she just pulled right out and he nailed her. He beat her. So when the police officer got there, he was going to take stopping in the parking lot to witness it. He came over and he wanted to take, statements about what we saw. And I said, I was right behind her. I saw the whole thing, blah, blah, and told my story. And he said, well, did she say anything to you? And I said, yeah. She said she didn't know where he came from. She didn't see him. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, but officer, in her defense, and I pulled my eyes back. I said, no shit, if you do this, you'll notice that you lose peripheral vision. She must have not turned her head. And the guys that were in the parking lot with me just died laughing. They were cracking up because we'd already all done that before the officer walked in, right? They're going, no shit, maybe she didn't see him, And that cop he was doing everything he can to, he could quit laughing at me, and take the statement, keep himself safe. But then it was funny as hell. I thought, this is mean too, but she probably didn't see him. Yeah, that's a true story. Well, brother, we're in a world of shit, but I'll tell you what really excited me up today to make this phone call, besides obviously the information that bullshit with us. One of the things that's very disheartening to me is that in Yemen, our soldiers, our Marines, were told to hand the weapons over to the Yemen rebels at the embassy, and I'm just not good with that. I'm just not happy about it. It's pissing me off. I mean, we're looking at another situation where supposedly they didn't have ammunition anyway, but then they were told to hand their weapons over and sent them in the embassy. That's pretty friggin' disheartening. It really is.
Well, they're saying that the ammunition is supposed to pick up. The quantity's supposed to pick up this year.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've armed everybody they can arm, so they're running out of people they can arm.
Damn. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I read a bit of an article earlier by Mr. Rush from WND, and I mean, he says it all. I mean, he's being honest. He's being honest about what's happened, and that this administration has played a huge part in that. invasion. Sure, but the fact that the rules of engagement have been so perverted, that they bind the hands of our military and that they're actually dying because the rules of engagement state such and such, or they go to jail if they live through the firefight because the rules of engagement, according to the usurper, have been changed to give such a disadvantage to our military that they're sending over into these regions where war is. I don't know what to say, brother. I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, do you have a solution? How do we change this? Why doesn't our military step up? You're a vet. What's your opinion? You know?
Well, he's removed anybody that's opposed him, so it's kind of hard for anybody that is for him to oppose him.
I just don't understand that, though. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly, you know me. You know how I am and how I know the injustice and why I speak out the way I do. But at the end of the day, if I were one of them, I believe I'd have gotten hold of the rest of them, and we would have done something by now. We would have raised up an army of veterans or militia or whatever the hell we had to do to put pressure on the DOD to step their ass up to the plate or go to jail too and take care of my business. I don't know. That's just me. I mean, I don't know the rules, you know, of war like they do, and I don't know the things that they know. I'll tell you, this just pisses me off.
Your upper brass is all political. It'll all change again, and if we make it to 2016, it'll change again.
Right.
Yeah, it'll get back more right. Hopefully. But anyways, I was just calling to pop in, and that was, you know, say hi.
Well, I love you. You know, you never come on the show, and every time I touch you, you know, my clothes fall off. What? That's funny, isn't it? That's the thing we just and my brother Ron we get a hold of each other, don't know what time of day or where we're at. And I know he's got the public up there, you make it. Or he'll ask, make it, how you know. Of course I am. Sitting here with all
always.
Hey,
you have a good night. Yes,
sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Question, brother. Do you think that this is a good time for us to let some of those vets that are out there listening, and I know I've got quite a few tonight, my board's full, and I've got people texting and saying they're listening, what a great show, and I know for a fact some of the vets, do you want me to do a cattle call, or do you want me to leave it for a later date?
I think we're at a staging process right now, and
okay.
that as soon as the staging's a little bit further along, we can really bounce that ball. But I don't think we're at that point yet.
All right, brother, then I won't put out a cattle call tonight. I'll save it until you're ready to do that, and then I'm going to have you come on the show with me, and we're going to be boss, all right?
All right.
I love you.
You can always look for trainers, but for right now, clients. Yeah.
No,
you got a bad echo on your side.
Well, you know, that's the NSA. They love to do that to me. No, that's what I was talking about. Cattle call for trainers. We need trainers for boss. You ready to do that?
Yeah, we can do that part. It's the clients we're not ready for yet.
No, I'm not ready for them, but I want them to be slobbering at the bit whenever I do get ready to call them to the gate.
There you go.
Yeah, for any veterans that are out there, I'm Becky Williams. This is my partner, Ron. Ron and I are starting a military-grade training operation. It is business. It's not an FTX camp. Don't think you're going to come out there and eat barbecue and sit around scratch your nutsack, because that's not how we operate. It is a professional military-grade training course at Matagorda Island off the coast of Texas. and we will cover everything from food, fire, and water to field medic training with certification and graduation at the end of any course that you choose to take, as well as long-range shooting. We got 28 miles of beach to play with, and we are going to play the whole field. We'll do water purification, distillation, salt water to drink, water to, we got wild boar on the island. We got fish off the island. We're going to do everything that you can imagine to create an environment for folks to come and train, either specifically for particular courses or for a full course of every training opportunity that we will offer through the company. The company is called BOSS. Those are acronyms. Ron, tell them what BOSS stands for.
There's Black Ops and Special Services.
And we will take an individual, we'll take an ordinary individual that comes in to train with us, and they will be extraordinary when they leave. They'll be prepared to be first responders or to respond to any situation that may be presented, whether by nature or by man. So we are recruiting. We only hire veterans. We are looking for individuals that can train from hand-to-hand combat, it's armament, survival, endurance, weapons. What am I missing there, Ron? Water purification.
Survival training, long-range weaponry, and medics all the way down to cooks. We're definitely going to have the full meal deal. Yeah.
So we want to let our listening audience know what we're into and what we're building. We're working as fast as we can. We were hoping to be up and operating by mid-March. Can't give you a definite date right now, but that is our target. We do need trainers. Ron had some exciting information for me today concerning what was the bill that was passed, brother? Initiative for them to transition into employment.
Transitional jobs for veterans, yes.
Yeah, there's been a allocation on a bill that it's been presented, and I believe it was passed. Am I correct?
Correct.
To transition these vets, to have funding to transition these vets into the secular world of employment. So for you vets that are out there, I need you to reach out to myself or Ron Gentry. You can find him on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Rage Against the Regime. I am us, and we'll exchange some email information and start talking to you on the phone and find out what you think you can contribute as far as training. But if any of those areas that were just mentioned is something you feel like you can train in, this is a paid position. Again, this isn't an FTX camp. This will be a very high-level, military-grade training. You're going to work your ass off for the patch at the end of the day for the courses that you take, and you'll feel great about it when you leave Matagorda Island. So, with that said, Ron, my brother and partner, I love you with all my heart, and I really am honored that you came on tonight with me. That's a first.
Thanks. Still not my deal. That's your deal.
I got this. I'm his guru. I'm his marketing guru. That's what I do. I've got someone else with their hand up, brother. You catch you some rest, or holler at me after the show and find out if Tracy's got her ducks in a row, or are you going to have to chastise her publicly?
Either she will or they call me Pimp Daddy, right?
That's right. That's right. You ought to text her. I'm going to send you her phone number. You text her and say, hey, am I your pimp yet? Motivate me. I love you, brother.
All right. You have a good evening.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. I've got another Skype user. They've got their hand up. I've just opened your mic. You heard your mic open. I don't know who this is, but who is this? Hello. You've got an open mic. I just opened your mic up. Hi. Who's this?
Is this Becky?
Hello. This is Becky.
Hey, Becky.
This is Becky.
This is Joseph.
Who's this? It's who?
This is Joseph.
Hey, how
Kind of confusing. I don't know.
How you doing? Talk to me. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. I see you had your hand up. You pressed the number 1. For those people out there that are on the call don't realize this is how I get your mic open. An indication to me that you've got your hand up is if you press 1, you have something you want to interject, please do so. All right. What's up tonight, brother? Have you been listening? Can you hear me? I think we're having a little audio problem there. Can you hear me, brother? I do believe he dropped off the line. God bless him. All right. I've got 469. Your mic is open. Who's that 469?
Hello. Hey, Becky. This is. Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who have I got?
This is Steve. We met over the phone. We talked a couple weeks ago.
Hi, Steve. How are you tonight, brother? I'm glad you called in. I really enjoyed my conversation with you.
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there, you know.
Have you been listening to the show tonight?
Yeah, I got in a little bit late, but yeah, I'll come back. But yeah, I've been on for a little while. I missed the start of it.
Basically what you missed was something that I just recapped in the last 15 minutes, and that was the situation where our Marines were instructed to give up their weapons in Yemen to the rebels. I don't understand that, brother. I'm really having a hard time getting my head around that. That's got me terribly disturbed today, and went over a little bit about, the rule of engagement that has been changed by the usurpant. I said that right, usurpant. I don't call him the usurper anymore. The rules of engagement had already been so decimated that it puts our soldiers' lives in danger, further danger in the battlefield. And now we have a situation where they're taking over American embassy, which makes that American soil in Yemen, and our soldiers have no munitions and have been told to hand over their weapons to the rebels. I don't understand. I do not understand why the top brass in our military, the DOD, and others in Congress have not gone in and arrested this pig. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Can you help me understand it? Do you have anything that maybe I'm missing?
I don't really have anything that you don't already know. Like you, I question why is no one doing anything at that level? I mean, lots of us can say, well, we should do this, we should do that, and I won't say what we ought to do since the king's men are listening,
right.
But like you said, the top brass, the DOD, the Senate should have impeached him, even though he's not worthy of that. He should, what he's done is espionage, since he shouldn't even be in there. But I don't know. Either the ones that are getting rich so fast that they just don't care, and they're just collecting their money while they can, and they don't want to rock the boat, or like I talked about a couple weeks ago when you and I spoke, or we're already so heavily infiltrated. Basically, it's already over, and they know it, and they're just getting what they can while they can, waiting on it to all break loose. I'm not saying
You're correct, though, Steve, and I'm in agreement with you, and you know that from our previous conversation. We agree completely. But at the end of the day, a dead man can't take his riches with him,
Yeah.
And whether they know it or not, there is a rising in this country, and at some point, we're either going to have to poop or get off the pot. I mean, that's seriously where we are, in my opinion. And I'm basing that on my opinion. Everybody may not agree with me, and we can agree to disagree. And nobody preaches resolution more than I do before revolution, because I don't want to see blood flowing in my street. But if we don't do something to take action, whether it be this avenue or that avenue, I just don't know that I could look myself in the mirror if I wasn't doing what I'm doing. We're done. If I'm not crying out, putting this target on my head, and I know that I am. I know the NSA boards are out there. And by the way, y'all need to hang up and check on your women, because I'm pretty sure they're cheating on you with your brother, your best friend, or somebody. You need to check with families. They're worried about checking us. What? What, Greg?
Cheating with a local Muslim here?
Yeah. You know, your partner that's off duty right now, he's probably got your woman up in his bedroom. But at the end of the day, I do this without fear, people. I do this not because I'm some loudmouth, which I've been accused of on more than one occasion. I don't really care. Words don't hurt me like that. But I'm not just some loudmouth woman that doesn't have something better to do with her life. I'll tell you right now, I've got a whole lot of other things I would rather be doing to enjoy my life than doing what I'm doing right now. But I really feel that this is a calling from God for me. For one, I do this without fear. That's why the NSA hates me so bad, because I tell them off frequently. I won't do it like I do off air, but on air, but I do tell them off frequently when I know they're tapping into my business on my phone. They need to mind their own business. First of all, it's illegal. You're the criminal. Get off my line. And second of all, I do this without fear. And third of all, I frequently remind them that they have families too, you know. And at the end of the day, this evil entity that they work for eat their own. This has been proven over and over again. History repeats itself, and we're seeing history repeating itself right here in this country and across the globe. The only thing is, the difference between then and now is this is biblical, I do believe. I believe that we're staring the end times in the face. And I had a guy, Steve, this will interest you. I had a guy on, I was cussing the Muslims online. I was on a thread, on Micah Campo's thread, and we were talking about the terrorists that have been allowed to take control in Texas, establishing Sharia court and standing, in public buildings owned by the school district in Garland, which I was at that event, being given the right of passage to travel freely and wreak havoc on society is just mind-boggling to me, and they call me a terrorist. But we have known conspirators, co-conspirators to bombing, speaking at public venues, flying first class without being harassed by the TSA like we are, to be put through security when boarding planes. We have them being financed by the government for tax-free privileges and interest-free privileges that bills have been passed privately that, the general populace is not aware of because they don't know how to do their homework. I mean, the list is so long, but at the end of the day, and I know I keep saying that a lot because my days are long. I probably use that phrase more than I should, but at the end of the day, we're in a situation where, this is going to be the final battle. This is biblical. That's what makes it different. That's why I fight like I fight. And I get into this conversation with this guy, and he starts calling me a hypocrite because I said that all of Islam needs to be eradicated. You cut a cancer out, you kill the tumor. They've proven for centuries what their objective is, and it's not to coexist with anyone, but it's to slaughter and dominate and take over everything away from man in general. So, and they even do it to their own. I mean, hell, they're not prejudiced about what they do. They just make claims as to why they do it, which is false in pretense. But this guy continued to call me a hypocrite. You're not a Christian. God's ashamed of you.
Well, God's not ashamed of me. The Bible tells me so. He's not ashamed of me. He doesn't hate the sinner. He hates the sin, no matter what the sin. You know, and he kept trying to chastise me, but all he could do is copy and paste. And I said, brother, let me tell you something. I've read the Quran. I've read the Hadith. And I've read the Bible. I'm very versed in the Bible. In fact, I sat here today because God healed me from a brain tumor on my deathbed in the middle of a prayer with no medical explanation whatsoever. I was already ashen and gray when the Lord spoke to me that day, and I was made whole. And the very doctor that saw me the day before saw me the very next morning for 4 hours of extensive tests prior to dissecting my brain and going into oncology to decide what treatment I'd finally submitted to. And I was he couldn't find what he saw the day before, and I passed all the tests. Everything that I failed the day before, I passed the next day. So no one can tell me God doesn't exist. I know he does. And so this guy's going to try to beat me up with Scripture. Well, he can't preach it to me from his own words. He has to go drag stuff out, copy and paste it, and try to tell me about myself. At which point I countered him. You're supposed to love your brother, blah, blah, blah. Well, I know what that Scripture says. There's also a Scripture that said, take up your sword. There's also a Scripture in that same book that says, sell your cloak and buy another. God says turn your cheek, but he certainly didn't say lay and slaughter. He didn't say to allow Satan's minions to slaughter you and love them to your death. We are to do what we are to do, but nobody can take one part of the Bible and try to exercise that as an argument and totally ignore the rest of the Bible. So I kind of beat him up a little bit. Micah finally deleted the post because I was chewing him up. And I did say this, not very Christian-like, but I did say it. I said, boy, I'll chew you up. I said, I know that book back and front. Back to front, I know the Quran, I can prove you a liar. He's trying to say they're moderate Muslims. I said, I can prove you a liar. I said, I'll chew you up and shit you out by morning. That's funny, ain't it? I meant it. I chew him up. You're going to get in battle with somebody. I said, listen, you must always know who your opponent is before you engage them in battle. And I said, you picked an opponent that you surely need to know who you're battling. And I believe that I've been put in this position, and I have certain knowledge about certain things, and I have certain knowledge about other things. And I believe that I can stand in argument and hold a point based on fact, not opinion. And he picked the wrong person to beat up that night. He was beating up the women on that page, and I went and started slapping him around, and I owned him a little bit before Michael finally said, you know, hey, get rid of this trope. Jim McGarr is the administrator, I think, of that page. Or maybe it was Doc. It was Doc, not Jim. Doc Green, and Doc didn't respond, so Michael went ahead and just deleted the post. And I was like, hey, Micah, did you boot me from the group, or did you delete the post? She goes, no, I deleted the post. I said, dang, I was just about to beat him up real good. She goes, I know, Becky. I'm trying not to get banned, Steve. I just came off of 61 days of chastisement by the Facebook Nazi police. So she was trying to protect me from being banned because she knew I was about to go upside his head. But I don't know what we're going to do, brother. If you have some suggestions, I'm certainly open to any of them.
You know, I wish I did. I wish I had had a plan. I wish I was smarter, I guess. I wish I had some more insight. But like you, I think so much of it is preordained that we can do what we can do, and in the end, what's going to happen is going to happen. I don't know if, because we're, if you read the end of the story, we're not really in it, I don't think, and that can mean that we're just so bogged down in our own mess that we're not really a big player on that stage over there, or could mean that we're not here at all.
Yeah.
But I tend to think, there's a great war coming that's going to kill at least 1/3 of all mankind. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
We obviously can't remain unscathed in those kind of numbers. And the only way you can kill 1/3 of the world is for something to go nuclear.
Absolutely.
So there's that, and there's plenty of those things pointed right at us, and nobody's steering the ship right now to even shoot back. I don't know. But at the same time, China's not going to nuke us. They want our natural resources. China wants the oil to come in. They'll let the Muslims do lots of slaughtering and killing to kind of clear the deck for them, and the Chinese come in and take over and harvest the resources because they want the oil to pay off the debt.
Right.
Obama's already promised China a great deal of our oil in payment of the debt.
They have half of Texas. Yeah. He's giving them a bunch in Texas. We know that. We've done the research. Venezuela as well. Did you know that? Venezuela. There is actually, and I'll get that to you, Steve. I'll send it to you in an IM. I've got to dig through my resource, my files. But there is actually there's a website that you can go to that will tell you what foreign countries own industry in your area and property. And it will tell you what country it is, what the name of the business is, where the property is located, so on and so forth.
Okay.
I'll get that to you.
Yeah,
and it breaks it down. You can break it down by state or you can break it down by city. I did my city. And there are 15 different countries that hold a great interest in oil in Texas alone. Pretty devastating. And the reason that I looked that up is obviously I've told you a bit about my background, being in merchant services and the discouragement and how my income had started depleting. My capability to earn a living in that industry has just diminished. Where I made a decent living, I used to make a great living, then I made a decent living, and then I was like, hell, I need to find another job living. And I started running so many foreign-owned businesses that I wanted to find out. And that led me to the .gov site to find out who the government has given our country away to, the largest majority of those being Muslim-owned and operated businesses, a lot of Oriental businesses as well. And now we're seeing the growth on the other side of South Americans and Mexicans that are being given money for small to medium businesses here. And then we started looking at the medical field and how it has been dominated by Muslims from India in particular that are buying up the clinical chains here and the hospitals here in Texas. So I started just doing a whole, my own little investigation. I found a website that a friend of mine posted up because we're in that conversation. And sure as hell, it will tell you who owns what in your neighborhood. The .gov site really stunned me. And the census of 2012, the percentage was 65% of the small to medium businesses in America were actually owned by immigrants. Which was just like, what the hell, And then we're in 2015, and they still haven't updated that census. And with the influx of what we've seen coming to America, I estimate it's more like 75%. Those businesses are now owned. 25% of our small to medium businesses only being owned by Americans is that should send send your blood pressure raging, because our prosperity, our ability to thrive in our own country with purpose has been stunted and restricted by agencies that have been directed by government to put us through rigorous red tape in order to obtain funds for those types of opportunities where they have been handed to without repayment to foreign invaders who have come into our country to take over our country, take our prosperity away and put us in danger. And that alone was enough to motivate me to get pissed off enough to do a bunch of shows on that alone. Yeah.
Yep.
It's irritating. So, brother, did you find anything that you wanted to talk about in particular today in your walk through social networking?
I was actually gonna ask about the deal with the Marines in Yemen, and you went into that. I guess that was really kind of the first thing you talked about, and then I was curious the other day. I was kind of curious about where you stand on your camp you're building on the island, but you've kind of gone over that already as well. I heard the gentleman a few minutes ago. I guess that's the guy that you're.
That's my partner. Yeah.
Doing this with.
Yeah. Yeah. Ron Gentry. He's been my brother for about 3 years now through social networking. I've actually had the pleasure of dining with he and his dad up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He lives down off the coast, and we've established a very trusting and good relationship over the years with one another. And I threw some stuff at him to offer up as, hey, let's do this as a business type thing. And we decided that probably wasn't going to be a good one. And then one day he picked up the phone and called me and said, Becky, I got something for us, and this is what I think we need to do. And we went from there, and it took off like wildfire. And he knows I'm a go-getter, so of course I jumped in with both feet and both arms and started wrangling, pulling that together with him. And we've gotten quite a bit accomplished. We're about to go ahead and get that LLC filed. I've got someone working on logos, and we know what we want with the logos. So I've got an artist that's should have that completed for us by next week. We've got our ducks in a row for our bonds and insurance, and like I said, probably LLC. We've got our ducks in a row to reach out to secure a grant, and then also operate as a nonprofit organization. We don't want to get rich, but we do want to give back to the patriot community. A lot of things that are going on. The reason why there's so few in numbers showing up, we would like to try to help in that area to oppose things like what happened in Austin on Capitol Day. They bust them in. They have all the money in the world to do what they want to do. One, they're tax-free, even as an individual, so their money's liquid, and they have the expenditure. They can bust large numbers of people in to support their caliphate, their Islamic takeover, no matter where they're at, where they're speaking. They've got millions and millions and millions of dollars behind them. So we'd like to see at the end of the day, operating as a nonprofit organization, being able to give back to the homeless veterans and the vets and their families, the families of the fallen, but we'd also like to be able to contribute when we need to be there, have people in opposition making enough noise to let our local governments know that we're not going to stand for the takeover in the Sharia law. We have to show up in numbers to get that attention. So we would like to be able to help in that area of transportation to bus people in and provide box lunches and water and things of that nature, and even signs or whatever is needed as we can. So this is going to be a multi-purpose business where we're not only going to be able to educate and train an individual to be proficient in the courses that they choose to take, and hopefully they'll love it enough to come back and take them all, because they would all benefit an individual for survival, no matter whether it be a man-made situation or nature that caused the first response. But we want to give back in so many other ways. And I think it takes two like-minded individuals, and this gentleman has been working for many years, and he works with fundraisers and non-profit things that he volunteers to do things for. He's been in and around that arena for so long that he just gives so much of himself and donates and contributes to so many organizations and puts events together for organizations. He's kind of a go-to guy on the coast down there, and I'm really honored that he reached out to me and he chose me to be the co-founder and partner with him, because the only thing he's asking from me is to help him get this up and running, to be 100% 50-50 on partnership, and that's pretty amazing to me. I don't have to dig in my pocket for anything. Did I lose you? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Steve? Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me?
I think it's my phone. Anyway.
All right. Can you hear me now?
My cheap old trailer park phone I have to use because the government stole all my money and gave it to people that don't want to work for their phone. So.
You mean you don't have one of those $800 iPhones or Android?
No.
Sancho got that. You ought to kick his ass in the grocery store and just take it out of his hand. Just go on and do it.
Next one I see that I know was a free one, I'm just going to take it. Say, hey, I paid for it. This is mine now.
Hey, I got proof on my bill every month. AT&T's charging the hell out of me for one of those phones for somebody. $18 a month for the last 7 years. You know. Really?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I saw, I haven't read the information yet, but I saw something where they're hosting it's back at that same building where the Garland event was. They're hosting a deal, some kind of contest, come and draw cartoons, draw the Prophet Muhammad, win a prize or something. I hadn't read the information.
I draw horribly. Is this, are we supposed to, is this for the Islamic movement, or is this just patriots saying, hey, let's draw Muhammad? Because of Charlie.
No, I believe it was sponsored by the lady that got up and spoke that day.
Go, sister, go. I love her. The one that got up at the podium and slammed him? Yeah, go.
Emma Geller. I believe she's sponsoring the thing. I can't find the information now. I was looking again and I don't see it, but it's an event coming up.
We've got a 3-day. Are you going to be in Austin? We got that 3-day event coming up in Austin next week. I'm going.
I'm not going to be able to get down
there. I'm going, brother. I'll represent you, and you know I've got a loud enough bullhorn to get her done.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I
appreciate
stuff. I got to stop and do this, so be out of pocket for a little bit. But
okay. All right. Well, I'll represent you. Don't worry. For all my Texans that can't make it down there, I will definitely represent as many as I can, and I'll be just about as loud as I can possibly be. I might actually pick up a louder bullhorn before I go down that direction. I had so much fun on the last one, I think I need something a little bit louder. But I'm going to broadcast from there. I'm gonna ride down probably with the same party that I drove into Garland with. He and his wife. He's one of my security team. I try not to engage in any events. I know I'm not running for office, but I have painted quite a target on my head, and I do broadcast on many different venues. So I kind of like to have my security team around me. So I'm going to go down with he and his wife, and I've got I got 4 of the bodyguards that are going to be down there walking around, keeping an eye on people around me. So not worried about the Patriots. I'm more worried about some dumbass infiltrating the crowd and that the government's put on me to cause a disturbance and an accident, if you will. So
yeah, I was going to worry about that. people come into the crowd, send in there to behave a certain way or make trouble just so the media can capture it and try to paint the movement a certain way.
Yeah, I think at this point we have so much information that we've put out, especially recently. People get killed for less. I mean, for God's sake, look what happened to that guy with, who was that guy? What was his name that did Gray State? And they're saying that he killed himself and his wife and his child. Don't believe it for a minute. I don't. The reporter, his car, 110 miles an hour in a residential area. Supposedly he lost control and hit a tree, but witnesses said the car exploded before he ever lost control of it. And, it happens. Chris Kyle, I don't believe for a minute that wasn't set up with purpose. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right. It's just that my gut tells me this. These evil bastards will do just anything, Go ahead, bud.
The guy that's on, of course, he's on trial right now that you're talking about that shot Chris Kyle. I saw something recently, and I make no claims. I have no idea if this is true or not, but it was an interesting story talking about one that said that the argument that he was suffering from PTSD. Side note, if we still call it shell shock like they did after World War II, these guys would probably be getting the care that they need. But instead, we've made up a nice, gentle, soft term. It's a disorder, and so it doesn't get treated like it should.
Yeah.
Anyway, having said that,
yeah. So
they're claiming this guy was suffering from PTSD when he shot Chris Kyle, and I'm sorry, I'm afraid I forgot the other guy's name. Some stuff I was reading said that's complete garbage. He wasn't even in. Yeah, he was over there, and I don't question his service and all that. I don't mean to say that, but he was, according to what I read, he was on a very secure base with a Chili's and an Arby's and a TGI Fridays and led just a simple day-to-day, get up and go to work like the rest of us. He just happened to be on a base, but that he wasn't in combat. He wasn't in that stuff. He wasn't around that stuff. And also that he would have come in contact was kind of another part of the story, that he would have been in contact with a lot, or at least some Muslim prisoners, and there was some speculation that he may have even converted to Islam. Again, I have no idea if it's actually true. I don't make any claims regarding that, but it was an interesting story. If that was true, he would have viewed what he was doing as a sort of revenge,
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if there's any.
I agree. I just, the whole thing. Listen, I mean, you got two seasoned soldiers who did see combat, and word has come out that they were actually texting one another while driving. The guy was in the back seat of the back cab of that truck, and Chris Kyle was driving, and word is that the passenger, the other guy that was murdered, said this guy is basically, sorry folks, fucking nuts, is what he said. And PTSD my ass, this guy he's not right ahead. So with them already having that type of concern in the vehicle prior to getting out with weapons to take him to the shooting range, one would have to question, was this guy in fact alone? Did he in fact do this? Or was there someone else there? Did someone else come up? Was there a distraction? Because most certainly these two seasoned soldiers with that feeling, and the texts were on the phones, having that feeling about this individual in the back of the back seat of their truck while they're driving to the range, one would have to question, how the hell did this guy get a drop on him outside the truck, shoot them both in the head? Right?
Yeah, that's something I hadn't had never considered the fact that there could have very easily been someone else there that's not part of the story as it's being told.
Correct. And and nobody even knew what happened because it was such an area of rural situation. And until this guy gets all the way back, 2-hour drive to his sister's house in Lancaster, Texas, from where this took place, nobody even knew there were 2 dead men out there. So I would question, because Chris Kyle had made a statement openly, and I don't remember exactly what the statement was, but he had made a statement openly to Obama just 2 weeks before that. And it was something that would really piss him off. If anybody's on the line that knows exactly what the story is with that, please raise your hand so that you can interject into that. I have somebody in the house that actually can. You guys hold on just a minute. I'll nab her. Tracy. Trey. What was the statement that Kyle made before he was murdered? What was the statement he made about Obama? Do you remember? He made it about the guy that killed him. No, I'm not talking about when they were driving and texting. I believe that Chris Kyle had made a broad statement, and he directed it at Obama just 2 weeks prior to his murder. Okay, she doesn't know. I'll look that up, and I'll have that on the next show for folks. That was just my head's so full of cold medicine and superfluous knowledge and other knowledge that I can't recall it right now. But I will look that up for the listeners just so that we can share that information. Listen, I've got a couple of people out here that nobody else can call in. We've gone past our time. I have 30 minutes of overage where it continues to record, and we'll continue the show until you folks are finished talking. Keith, are you still on the line, brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Keith, do you happen to recall that conversation that I was just speaking of where Chris Kyle had made a comment, a statement?
I don't remember if it's him or I remember one of his associates made a comment that something about that there might be a piece of shrapnel that might catch Obama.
Okay.
And so I remember one of them. I don't remember if it's him but I know it's one of his. I remember one of the other. Hold on.
Are you there?
I'm here.
We didn't get that. So what did you say, brother?
I remember him or one of the other sharpshooters that he was with had made a comment that they wouldn't be surprised if a piece of metal found Obama.
Wow. I've got everybody that is still holding and in line on the show with me right now. I went ahead and opened everybody's mic up. So we're just having an open forum until I close the show. Like I said, I have 30 minutes of overtime after the live air broadcast ends. So anybody that has any information that they'd like to share, go ahead, brother.
I'd like to make one quick comment because just in case I need you to get a hold of me and I need 5 minutes of your time.
All right. Can you call me after we end the show and I'll take the call? I'm
not trying to be rude. I just need...
No. I don't mind at all. You feel free to call me after the show. I'll take your call and we'll discuss whatever it is off air.
Okay. Well, I just don't know how long they're going to let me stay, so that's why I made the comment. Go ahead.
All right, brother. I love you, man. Everybody else, your lines are open. Gene, God bless you, man. Why don't you tell the folks how they can get in touch with you? I want to get that in there so that anybody that would like to volunteer to step up to disseminate information that Jean has gathered, she will be putting it in a PDF file so that we can get it to folks, and we need a commitment from you to just do 100. Do 100 packets. It's not going to cost you very much. You have a printer at home. to do this, but it would be greatly appreciated, and you can be a part of making history in this country and trying to undo the injustice that we are suffering from at this point. It does directly affect your family, whether you think you can feel it or not. It does, and everything that's happening right now, your family is in as much danger as I am. I talk about how I paint a target on my skull with the government, and with not just with the government, but a lot of their supporters out there don't really care for Becky Governor Williams / Patriot Goddess. That's my new name, apparently. They don't care for me. They don't care for what I stand for. They don't care for my ability to speak out, and they do everything they can to come up against me in opposition. So I'm not the only one. You're all in danger. The danger is ever present. It is real. I'm not a fearmonger. I'm not out here trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to let you know what kind of danger we're in and try to motivate you to action. And I don't mean pick your weapon up and start shooting a bunch of people. I preach resolution, not revolution on here constantly. So NSA, that's my disclaimer for the night. Kiss my ass and get off our line. We need to find a resolution, and you can play a part in that, and we would be honored to have you do so. So please reach out to Jean. Jean, tell them how they can reach you.
Facebook, Jean Smith, Jean, SMITH, and my profile pic is Jean, Jean, Jean Smith, and my profile pic is, what's his name? Wolfson, the guy that was behind Lehman Brothers. What was his name? Paul. Got a gun in his hand. Anyway, that's my profile pic. Just pick him up, America.
All right. Jean Smith
and
on
my
Facebook.
cover is Obama holding a gun going, who's next? Easy to find. And they send me a PM and see if I can get him to help us get this information out.
This is not a paid position.
Very nice.
Hey, you're welcome. Not a paid position.
With or without anybody, my friend Lisa and I are going to do this on our own. End of story.
You won't do alone.
Nobody else helps us. I'm going to do it on my own. So it would be much nicer to have someone to help do this. We'll get it out a lot sooner, and it may have more impact that way than if just Lisa and I are going to do this by ourselves. So
I would suggest, you mentioned getting it in the hands of government. I would suggest you get it into the hands of your mayors as well and your constitutional sheriffs.
Mayors and governors, exactly. Yeah, all of them. I think mayors and governors first, maybe you're right, and local representatives who are really kept in the dark. Local reps, most of them are pretty much kept in the dark. So they're told to just keep their nose to the grindstone and pay attention to what their community is doing, because they don't want them aware of what's going on across the nation. So that might, be a good idea.
That'd be a fact. And I want you guys out there to keep your eyes and your ears. Keep your ears open, keep your eyes wide open. Watch your surroundings, your environment. And it might behoove you to troll some of the troll websites. Pay attention to what's going on the representatives' Facebook pages. Take some time to think outside the box. Don't keep doing what you're doing. It's insanity for us not to move forward. And the only reason that we're not moving forward is because we are continuing to do the same thing day in and day out. Without action, there will be no deliverance. And I don't know how I can stress that enough. And it's going to take a whole lot of us. To wait on a few of us to get this job done is insane, because it's never going to happen. It will not happen without a collective effort. So for my patriots out there, God bless you for everything that you're already doing, but I need to see some action. And do it for your family. Don't do it for me. Do it for your family. Do it for yourself.
I'm sorry, honey, I don't want to.
Go ahead, Becky.
One thing that we haven't discussed on your show is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Okay,
let's do a show on it this Saturday.
Important. Did you guys talk about it on Saturday?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it on Saturday. You let me know what time you're available. I'll schedule the show. We'll pull people together that have knowledge in that area, and we'll go from there.
Right, because that people need to make those calls. I mean, we need everybody across this country to make those calls, and not just myself have been passing that information, but there are numerous groups and Facebook pages that have all the information on them as well. If you just, go to your Facebook search and type in TPP, it'll bring up several pages. It's so important that people are working together and making those calls to their congressmen and reps and mayors and governors to stop this.
They just approved
the Keystone, and they just approved the Keystone Pipeline, and that's part of the TPP. Once that's been approved, so they're moving forward with the TPP whether we like it or not. If we don't step up and start screaming at the top of our lungs,
Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
And it's really simple. It's really simple to make a couple calls a day. It's not a difficult thing.
Listen, they know my voice.
It's really simple. You don't need a printer. Your fingers, phone numbers are provided. All you have to do is call. They even give you talking points and what to talk about when you make these calls to have an impact. So pretty easy if we can get people to do it.
I make so many calls to my representatives, my local and state representatives in the governor's office, that they know who I am when I call. They'll go, okay, Becky, what is it today? They should know you like that. You know what I mean? They see me coming. They know who I am. As soon as I open my mouth, they know exactly who I am. What is your concern today, Becky?
And there's a lot of people that make these calls, but we need them en masse. They don't always have an impact, especially with such an important issue as the Trans-Pacific Partnership. If it passes, everything in the TPP, in the TISA agreement, they're already doing it. These things are already going on. These corporations are already suing our government.
You're right, and Agenda 21 had to be implemented and be effectively in the process of working before this next phase could be completed for the takeover, removing borders and the transcontinental bullshit that they're pulling. Agenda 21 had to be aggressively inserted, and it has been for quite some time now. Just because you're not an individual that owns a ranch somewhere doesn't mean that you're not affected, because I'm going to break some information to you. Look up BECKY. If BECKY has been implemented as a management program in your city, you have been now put under Agenda 21. They handle everything from municipalities, management, administrative management for your city, your water, your electric, your gas, and yes, your property taxes, and this is going to really kick your butt. Homeowners Association and the rights to take your property away from you and the guidelines that are set therein for such takeover. So you may not think that you are being affected by Agenda 21, but in fact, most likely you have been, and you just didn't know it. If you have a smart meter, your city is being run by BECKY. BECKY, as part of Agenda 21, is a foreign organization that is managing your city and its guidelines. And your city council and your mayor have agreed to it and subjected you as a citizen to it without asking your permission to do so, which by all rights, before they pass any laws or changes in your local laws, they're supposed to inform the people and give you the opportunity as a citizen to speak to the city council about these changes in your area and any management changes. So with that said, Agenda 21 is affecting you, okay? Trust me. If you have a smart meter, water meter, or electric meter, you are already in trouble. And if you own property or business in that city, you better find out what the new laws are governing and that are concerning your ownership of said property and your business.
Yeah, it's very serious. Very serious. And that goes hand in hand with what we were talking about earlier and these properties that I keep finding that are being traded on the stock market that are owned by owned by Lockheed Martin and Serco and Department of Homeland Security. So, but yeah, it's really important.
It's accumulated. Isn't that just an accumulative portfolio of wealth in order to initiate that stock trade? Is it asset growth? Isn't that all that is?
What?
For the exchange, accumulating those properties is obviously adding to the value of the portfolio. It's showing improvement in growth and gain, which is what motivates a market exchange. Correct?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think you know more about that aspect than I do.
I do believe that's what it is. And, if James Taylor was on this
call,
it's
who's behind it. It just indicates behind it. I'm more concerned about who's behind it and how we stop these stuff, But they are behind it. Lockheed Martin, VHS, Serco. They own all these properties have been taken over because of the mortgage prices. And that was Lehman Brothers. So, anyway, but yeah, you're right. The TPP, BECKY, and they're just waiting for Japan. They'd have passed the TPP by now, but they're waiting on Japan because Japan hasn't signed on yet. And this crisis that's going on the dock could be the nail in the coffin for this country and our economy. It could also be very damaging to Japan's economy, which may be part of this, They're going to coerce them into signing this TPP agreement the way they want them to. People need to be aware of what's going on down on the docks, and they have to understand that it's not the union who is the bad guy here. They're not on strike. They cannot go on strike. It's in their contract that they cannot strike, and the media is making it appear as though it is them. It is the corporation who have cut the hours, and they're 68 hours a week at this point, that they're not unloading those ships now that they were prior. And the corporations cut those hours purposely.
Wow.
That's 68 hours a week that the ships were being unloaded, and they've cut that 68 hours out of the work week, which means that, there are workers that are suffering too because they don't have their jobs, so that means the truckers are suffering because they're not getting their loads. So it's affecting that whole cycle,
Yeah.
And I would beware. I would be watching now for some of these corporations to find a reason, although I believe this was all planned in advance, to file bankruptcy and sue the U.S. government for damages. Walmart wants to file bankruptcy anyway. I read where they wanted to file bankruptcy, and they were maybe in the process.
You know what's weird about that, though? I don't know if you recall this, but, Hillary Clinton, I like to call her Killary. She's like a damn black widow. She was opening up her banking branch through Walmart. So I'm wondering what's up with all of that. We might need to do a little homework and find out if that went south or whatever. But it was a special banking program, and she was going to open it up in the branches. The branches were going to be in the Walmarts. So we might try to find out what that is. Hey, Steve, Terry Fletcher texted me the name, and I just saw the text because I wasn't watching my text, obviously, because I'm a little behind on this. But 929, he said the other guy's name was Littlefield. I'm assuming he's speaking about the gentleman that was murdered with Chris Kyle.
Yeah, you're right. I remember that.
Yeah. Anybody else that's on the line, you've got an open mic. I went ahead and opened it up. Everybody by roll call, just tell me who's on. Obviously, I have Steve, I have Gene, I have Keith. I've got a couple more callers on here that I've opened the mic up to. Who's on line with us? Oh, my God. All I'm hearing is noises. I'm not hearing any voices. Well, your mic is open if you have something you want to say. They get a little shy. Sometimes they just want to listen, and it actually could be an operative listening, so I don't know. I don't care.
I'm sure DHS is on, TSA is on, NSA.
Terry's on.
Oh, we are. Yeah, yeah, we know they're on. Hey, Kara, I got a word for you. Bitches, I'm coming. Yeah, terrorist organization in my country. Yeah, okay. I'm not good with you being here at all. But, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff that we can cover on Saturday. I know that Bobby's going to have a show tomorrow evening at 4:30. I'm not sure what his topic is going to be or if he has a guest coming on, but I'm sure I'll be a part of the show. 4:30 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be with Bobby Ritter. We've got a couple of folks out here that have asked me to plug their, and I don't like to really plug fundraisers unless I'm doing a show specifically for the fundraiser. We don't like to push that, leave a bad taste in the mouth of the Patriots if they think that's what we're doing. But I'm gonna go ahead and ask folks to reach out to Yoga. Yoga had his home burned down right before Thanksgiving and Christmas this year, right around that area, that time frame. And his home burned to the ground. He lived in a travel trailer. It was a small little travel trailer. So anybody out there, if you have an extra motorhome that's just sitting back there rotting on the side of the barn, or you have a travel trailer or a little insight to an affordable FEMA trailer that you're not using, please reach out to Yoga Bear, YOGARBEAR. Yoga's also got a fundraiser, and I don't happen to have the information or the link to his fundraiser right in front of me, but reach out to him on Facebook. He lives, he has a disability. He lives right now with his 80-some-odd-year-old mom, and he's an older gentleman with limited funds. He's having some difficulty trying to raise funds or find another place to be. He's in a little one-bedroom A-frame house next door with his mom, who lived beside him. He lost everything he owned, from his weapons to his clothes, during that fire, and he's still struggling. I think he has to live on a meager $700 or something close to that a month, and a lot of that goes to his medications and his copay. So, you folks, please, if we have a patriot in need, try to be selfless if you can, to help them any way you can, even if it's just getting the word out to other patriots that we've got somebody in need. We like to try to help them. We've got a situation where we have soldiers that have been deployed. A young lady that is going to come on and share that information obviously didn't make it this evening. Staff Sergeant Ash and his brothers and sisters have been deployed, and they're in a region that they have no access to purchase personal items like toothpaste and tampons and deodorant and soap and things of that nature. And so we're trying to get some care packages together for them, and I'll try to get her on the show Saturday to reach out and send some things that the soldiers truly need while they're out in the field. I believe I've covered the two causes that I wanted to cover this evening for the folks, and that would be Yoga and then Staff Sergeant Ash. His brother is part of Misguided Children. I got a bad taste in my mouth for them, for that particular group, but I do not have bad taste for the soldiers who are in need. So I won't plug Misguided Children, but I will plug one of the gentlemen in there that happens to be his brother, that's the Staff Sergeant. We want to reach out and let you guys know that we're going to get your information on the air. But I'd like to have, personally, I would prefer to have his brother, the Staff Sergeant's brother on, just to make sure we have validity to who this is going to. The opposition is very clever, and the Muslims have on more than one occasion presented themselves online in dire need and as a soldier, and had items sent to help the opposition, and we certainly don't want to do that. So I prefer that we have his brother come on and speak to us about the situation over there, so that we can we can be sure that that's who the products are going to. Wouldn't you agree, folks? Hello?
I have a question. Miss
Sure.
Becky?
Yes,
has anybody got any word on or heard anything more about the troops that are supposedly surrounded by ISIS in Iraq at the air base?
You know, Amy Sturdivant was going to come on tonight, and she had a situation come up where she couldn't. I didn't have time to research that, but she IM'd me about that situation. And no, I haven't heard anything other than that we do have soldiers that have been pinned down by ISIS. I don't know what region. I don't know the details behind that. Do you have anything more than just that information on it?
There is a couple reports on one guy's wall that some people have direct contact with some boots on the ground there that they don't know anything about it. But we don't know what's what.
So
that's all I know.
So the speculation is that that's probably a false flag, that's not true,
yeah.
that they're not pinned
from
down?
my view,
okay.
From my Becky.
I'm sorry, say that again. You're breaking up. Okay.
I said from my point of view, that's probably a false flag. But like I said, a couple of troops don't know anything about it, but you just don't know. You never know. I'm just concerned there are Marines and with this administration, who knows? It might be another Benghazi about to happen.
Well, and that's what my concern was in Yemen. You know, that was an embassy situation, and you know, you've got somebody once again given a stand down order for security, and I've got a problem with that. If it's Valerie Jarrett, when this ship blows down, when it goes down, I don't want anybody to incarcerate her or take her into custody or kill her. I would like to do a pay-per-view program where I get to get her in a cage fight and beat the shit out of her for money, and I would like to pay off the national debt with the money that's made off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I hear you.
You hear what I'm saying? I mean, I'm pretty sure that if we did that globally, if we just, you know, a subscription, $25, watch the fight kind of thing, you know, like they do in boxing, I think we could pay off the national debt. I'm pretty sure enough people would tune in, we could get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was my question anyway. Just keep all our troops in prayer.
Yes, please. And folks, you know, Gina and I talked about this earlier. I think we get so wrapped up, and I know I do, I'm guilty of it. We get so wrapped up in what's going on that we forget to get on our knees and talk to God every day. Listen, He is ever present if you call on Him. You may not feel it. You may get frustrated like I do and everybody else that's a Christian, and I've heard His voice. I'm a recipient of the miracle, and I still get angry. You know, I still have questions. And I think when we don't walk with Him and sup with Him as we should, you know, our spirits get weary. And I think that if we would collectively fall in love with Him for about 30 minutes like you had a new lover, you know the one, you know that feeling, oh, my God, he's just all bad. I can't wait to talk to him again. You know, that's how we need to look at it. Let's fall in love for a minute, for about 30 minutes a day. I mean, that's not a lot of time out of your day. And let's sit down and talk to God and sup with Him a little bit. I believe He'll give us direction in what we need to do, what the next phase is, and where we need to, what direction we need to go in. And I believe He'll put other people in our paths that belong to Him that are going to give us a solution to be the army that we're supposed to be for God and to take care of the situation at hand as He has instructed. His will, not ours. Amen.
Amen.
Can I get it? There you go. That's all I need. Did I get an amen out of you too, Jean? Yeah.
Yes, amen, Becky. Amen.
Yeah.
You guys, I want to bring something up just briefly because I just got a text message. You know, Bob Simon, who's one of the older, more experienced investigative reporters and journalists, you know, was killed. They said killed, and I always have a hard time believing it when they die, right? especially a journalist, especially one who knew as much as he did and was experienced as he was.
Who is this? Who is this? And do it quick. We're about to drop dead.
I'm sorry. Becky, what?
No. We're about to lose it. It's going to cut the episode in just about a split second. So who is this again?
Bob Simon.
Bob Simon. Okay.
Bob Simon, and another journalist was just found dead in his office. He was a columnist for the New York Times. So I think they're killing investigative journalists again.
People like me. Yeah. Okay. Hey, sis, I'm going to wrap the show up because we're about to lose air, and whenever it cuts my call, we're dead and done. This has been Becky Williams with Rage Against the Regime. I thank my panel for coming today. Thank you to the listeners that listened in. I'll see you at 4:30 tomorrow. Gene, give me a shout-out afterwards if you can, and let's talk more about that. I'll cover it on the next show. Steve, thank you for joining us, sir. You're always a pleasure. And I expect to have a lot more of you on the show whenever you're available. I'd really appreciate it. All right. This is Becky Williams, Rage Against the Regime. Thank you for joining us. All of you have a good night and God bless. Until tomorrow, good night.